Okay, so I decided maybe I would take care of separating out some of the receiver bits too, though. So we're going to end up pulling the cocking tube out. Thankfully, mine does not appear to be bent at all, really. That's most excellent. I have heard about these being bent in the past. Apparently, they're a bit of work to get straightened out, too. I just got kind of everything dummy assembled here because I think it looks cool. I really love the look of the CETME wood and everything. It's nice. I might eventually get some HK black furniture, but I don't know. Just this looks really neat, and it'll look even better whenever I get through finishing it up. Alright, so there's a few things. First off, this piece right here needs to get actually pulled out. If you look on the inside, it's hard to see, but there is a separate tube in there for the cocking tube. So it not only has the piece of receiver here and then the weld, but there's a small tube in there. So we need to be cautious, because what we're going to do is we're going to grind the welds out. There's 3 on each side, and then we're going to grind this weld out, and we're going to cut this off, probably in that order. And what will happen is that's going to let us get this cocking tube off. After that, we can start working on the main trunnion. There's a bunch of spot welds in this thing, so we'll end up having to work that out a little bit at a time. There's some discoloration here, like there's a spot weld here. Based on the pictures I've seen, it's highly probable that's where it is. Then there's also these two here. These are probably going to be a little easier to deal with. I'll probably get pretty aggressive with this, just because it's more of a Roselle weld. And what I'll be able to do is I'll just be able to use this as a depth gauge to figure out where I'm getting real close, and I'll take the wheel and I'll just knock it almost all the way down before I whack it with a cold chisel a couple times and break it loose. These, on the other hand, are going to be a little more finicky, probably. I see a lot of people breaking these free, but even so, with the front of it exposed, I mean, the handguard just pops off. It's, like I said, it's on there for decoration. I'll probably end up just grinding down most of the material thickness here. People are kind of finicky about that. I don't really know if you have to be. I mean, it's one of those things where I don't think a little material loss there is going to be the end of the world. I mean, the material on, I wouldn't want to go quarter of the way through it, mind you, but the material on the outside, if you lose a few thou, I don't think it's going to matter structurally. So we'll just see how it looks whenever we get there. Probably another update on this soon. I am probably going to grind this weld flat pretty much, and if I need to get a little bit more on it, I'll probably use the wafer wheel or whatever. But like I said, initial game plan is probably just to grind this out as much as possible, sacrifice this piece back here, not digging into the tube, grind out these welds here, and then just peel it back like a sardine can pretty much. Alright, so after a long day of doing adulting things and with the likes, we managed to have a little fun. So this is the actual cocking tube. I extracted it from its prison. And here's the piece of metal I extracted it from. Here's the hunk of junk I pulled the trunnion from. And then here's the trunnion itself. It's got some weird goop on it. I don't know what that is, but it's kind of waxy and gunky and what have you. I guess it's probably a combination of burned on chemicals and sand from, like, whatever, you know, desert or place this was and everything. So yeah, enough of that. But so I discovered a few things. First off, I thought that there was a spot, that there was only 2 spot welds on the outside. There's actually one there, and there's one there. These are on the bottom. These are on the bottom. That's the pin for reference to locate the barrel. And there's actually one on the top, which I didn't expect. There were only the 4 on the back side, though, and that was kind of expected. If you notice, I kind of ripped that out. Well, I'll show a little bit more detail about that in a second here. You can also see a little bit of grease and oil and the likes. It's not bad. It should only take a little bit of flap wheeling to clean that up and make it look, you know, half decent and everything. So on the cocking tube, though, what was kind of interesting to me, if not kind of disturbing, is that was the spot where the first 3 welds were. There were actually 2 extra on the top I didn't even know about. I don't even recall seeing these in any of the guides. They might be there, but I certainly don't recall them. And then there's the other ones. And if you really look, it doesn't seem like they even penetrated. So if you notice, you could see how I ground so out of 8 welds, it only looked like there were really 2 that did much of anything in terms of actually securing this, which is really intriguing in its own right. So, and this is also covered in all sorts of gunk and oil and what have you, so yeah, just kind of nasty. I'll wipe it down and see what comes of it, I guess. You can kind of see where I got a little too into it with the cut wheel and everything, but yeah, I'll get rid of those spot welds and she'll be ready for the next gun. Alright, and this is the piece I pulled off. This came off in a couple pieces. Nothing, like, it's harder to see on this one, but there we are. That's actually a good angle. So part of the strategy around dealing with sheet metal is you have to know whenever it's getting hot, because whenever it's getting hot, it's getting thin. And you can see how it turned black there. That means that I was about ready to break through, so that's when I stopped and I switched over to other means. I got lucky on this one that the spot welds weren't actually that bad, because if they were, I would have had to have dealt with them. So let's just cut over to the other piece of the trunnion. These are definitely going in the dumpsters. I mean, they're sharp and all that good stuff. You can see where there's a little bit of blackness around the hole itself. What I did with this is I kind of gouged in just where the holes were, because I knew exactly where they were, and because they were Roselle welds on the back side of it, I knew how deep they were too, which is really convenient for actually grinding them out. The front ones here, though, you can see I went in deep, and you can see I really made it blue there and everything. I really got some heat into that before I, that one too, and before I got them off and everything. So the idea, though, is whenever the metal's thinner, you can break it easier. And if you actually do it enough, in some cases, what you'll see, and I saw this with the weld up here on the cocking tube, is that there will be a crack that forms, basically. So you're looking to create that stress riser, and you're looking just to finish the job off with a chisel or a screwdriver or whatever you're going to use and everything. So, onto the flap wheel with this. Alright, so I took the parts out, cleaned them up a little bit. Not quite as happy as I would have liked with this part, but I think it'll cover up nicely. I also end up sanding it, making it look a little prettier before I refinish it. And we'll see what the welding looks like too. There's going to be some weld there, so I'm going to have some more dressing to do anyways. But I got that done. I got this done. I dressed everything on it, even though the one spot just had a broken weld. There's no use finding a burr in the receiver later that causes something to stick up. I also took a wire brush to it because it was crusty, just like I did with the cocking tube actually. And it looks a lot cleaner now. Maybe I'll throw some solvent on it too at some point, but leaving it a little gunky probably wouldn't hurt to keep it from rusting, all that good stuff. Next time and next part of the project. At this rate, I am probably actually ready to press the barrel in the trunnion. I gotta get everything nice and squeaky clean though, and get a few other things together for that mischief. I got the press already, but I really want to have a better plate than what I do for it, because I think the hole in mine's too big. See ya.